What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. We got Albert in the house, bright and early. Good morning to you. Good morning to Brad, Cheryl, Sydney, Doug, Jay, Jeff. We got Jennifer, Joe, Lauren, Marius, Mike, is Peter. Good morning to Rick, Shane, all my YouTube people. Good morning to Leonard, all my lurkers, that background on YouTube that's just not going to comment. That's okay. I still love you. Hit that like and subscribe button. But yeah, we got some movement in the market today. Interesting spot for the open. I don't know if I trust it or I don't trust it, but pretty crucial level. So if we scroll back a little bit to kind of where we were sitting at yesterday, we are at the high end of the range, but we did get rejected here a few times. So let's see if we get a small pullback. To me, it looks like we got a better support somewhere closer to probably a smaller or better support. I think somewhere around 570.08. So I'd probably want to stay above that. And then we'll see where this market actually wants to open pre-market. But now it looks like we are currently a few pennies higher. We did have a good rip pre-market. I think a lot of it's coming from China. China. So a lot of economic stimulus talk coming from China. That's kind of boosting essentially every one of the Chinese stocks, no matter what you're in. Some are better than others, but for the most part, you're going to get rewarded today for any one that is holding Chinese stocks overnight. Otherwise, actual support on the daily, and we're still in this range. Again, we have big resistance somewhere around 571.45. We had that yesterday. Yesterday, our support, which we did get a bounce off of, was 568.14. And then today's support 569.27. So we did move up a little bit in support. We still got that really big before we get that next kind of break. And I saw Tony had targets, or he was drawing his resistance somewhere around 570 and then 580. So I don't have any targets to the higher side just because we haven't been there yet. So I couldn't tell you. But however, he was kind of mapping it out. His next target up was like 580. So we'll call it that for now, because higher would be my thought process if we're getting to 571.38. I think Jeremy threw out there too. Something was moving to, like, I think the Q's moving to like 505. He was going to clear positions or something like that too. I'd have to scroll back, but I think he threw that in there yesterday afternoon if anyone wants to scroll back. 505.05. Yeah. He's a numbers guy. What a numbers guy. Doug says he used call volume to get there. Okay, so he's looking at the options. All right. So we'll see. But yeah, right now we are still above that 570. I got to break through this 571.45 before we're saying we're definitely pushing higher, but that would be my key. And then today it is a retest gap, so maybe we get a little pullback. Just how this one almost worked pretty perfectly off that support, or actually from here yesterday off yesterday's support. Maybe that happens again, and then we get that next kind of push. But it seems like the market's just kind of hanging out for now. We're not making too much real progress, just range bound a little bit. Lots of high wave indecision candles on Qs as well. So Jeremy's got another, what, $19 to go. For that to happen, we got to break through this resistance. I got 484.59, and then support today is 482.94. It's also a retest gap. It's kind of a retest gap, I guess. I mean, again, we're just chopping yesterday's candle for the most part. And it looks like, are we higher than yesterday? What was yesterday's high? Yesterday's high was 484.14. So we're about 2 pennies under yesterday's high. There we go. Now we're there. But watch that resistance, and it is a little bit of a retest gap, but yesterday's entire candle for the most part was just inside day, and we're just kind of hanging out in this range. The fact that we had this gap up, we did try to break down, bulls just rampage right back. I think overall probably still bullish. Probably this is a spot that we could break through 44, 44, we'll call it 50, but somewhere up in that zone. I think we could probably get through that one. We might have to chop around for a little bit longer though. We will see. Let me know if you guys got any tickers that you want to take a look at. The first one I see is Tesla. Tessie. I got like a bug bite on my hand. I don't know. It just started like itching. Peter says you like Baba. It's very good for you today. Yeah, Bob was working out pretty well. So far, so good. The most hated stock in the world. Pretty good. Tesla is moving a little bit. We have a pretty decent resistance up here. Also a retest gap. Not sure if this is the resistance that we hold. Maybe we go a little bit higher. So the next spot would be 256.32, and then I see 259.71. So not much greatness in terms of risk to reward to the bull side on Tesla. I don't know if I'd want to play that. I would think that after you get this kind of gap up into resistance, people might want to take a little profit. Uh, look for support. Yesterday's support comes in at 248.48. So I'm not going to get too aggressive bullish. The only way I think I could make that case is I think Tesla has to be extremely bullish, run up to like 265.38 or higher. So if I think I could break through that or even run into that, then I might still have a little bit of risk reward to the higher side. Let me see if they're gapping on news. It could be moving because of China too. These stocks are moving most today. Tesla, Visa, Deere, Bob, Salesforce, Baron. Yeah, so how China is boosting the share. So they're getting that's a little play on sympathy to China, but good gap. Uh, I don't think I'd be too aggressive at the open. See if this thing wants to pull back at least a little bit. You do have other levels of support down here too. So the big one for me is just yesterday's gap, 248.56, but or somewhere right around there. Otherwise, I do have 249.45. I also got 250.34. So there's a few levels that we'd have to break through, but um, I'd I'd kind of only want to go bullish, but I can't really do it. I don't think it open. We got CRM, we got Palantir, CRM. It's a good gap up. Mm, Again, starting to get into a little resistance. The first one I got, or at least the big one, 271.60. If we could get through that, we have a lot of room. Still might not be easy. There's a bunch of levels up here. 274.63, 277.07. My target would be 278.13, but it's got some work to do. And then we also had a bullish breakout candle inside. Let's see if this one fades. Let's see if this one pulls back, acts as a little retest. We might not come all the way back down to the support. We might not hit 265.90. First spot I would look to try to go long if we get some kind of retest is 268.78. If we break through that, then I would be looking at that 265.90 for a pullback, but we'll throw this one higher. We'll throw this one higher. It's not a bad gap. It's pretty good. I feel like we're gonna start hitting resistance on a lot of these things. Uh PLTR. Mm, really strong close yesterday. Again, I don't really have much targets. I did sell the 41 cover calls for I think October 18th. And I know I say it now, like, yeah, if you want to take my shares at $41, that's fine with me. For most of the shares, I still have a few shares left over, but otherwise, the next real big spot, I mean, that was a good close. I guess the next real big spot is about 39.52, so that still gives us, even from today's pre-market, about $1.50 higher, but that looks good. Maybe we get a little pullback. Look for support somewhere around 37.34. I'm going way back in time for this. This is 2021. 2021. But they've just been on an incredible move. I think at some point they get some kind of a pullback. So that's why I'm starting to sell some of those cover calls against them. But good close, probably get continuation today. As long as we could break the resistance of 3809-ish. See if we got a more accurate one. 3805. but looks good. Lots of volume on this candle. We broke out, so we will see. We will see. We got Oxy. There was a lot of war headlines yesterday. There was a lot, and yet the market still stayed up. So I don't know how you want to take that, but oil was ripping pretty good yesterday. I think we got a couple more headlines in there today. Um, I've got the 20 EMA. We're gonna have to deal with that. I don't really have any levels there, but 53.21 would be that spot. Technically, a little bit of a retest gap as well. This one seems to like to open higher and then fade recently, at least. And that's a pretty big breakdown on this one. Other than that, target on this one today, if we could get past that 20, would be 53.75. And then a really good day, like a fantastic day, would be 55.11. So somewhere up in that zone. I think I'd probably want to see this one pull back at least. Try to use some kind of support, 52.43, and then the next attempt, break through that 20. But not bad. This is also 3-bar reversal down here as well. You did get some decent volume on this candle. We're well above that, so we broke out. This is the retest. I do like it in the bullish direction. Probably not a bad swing trade too if you could get in it as close as possible to 52.43. And you probably have some stops down here somewhere, $50. But we'll see what happens on this one. Not bad though. See if we get that higher. Get that up here. We got pins. Pins had a nice gap yesterday. Good gap yesterday. Decided not to hold. So that ended up retesting. You're getting another good gap today. This one might be a little bit better. This one might be a tad better. This retest, anybody that was wrong on this gap up, gave them the chance to get out, gave the bulls a chance to get in. People are going to look to try to chase this one. I think it actually looks a little bit better than yesterday. And yesterday did look pretty good. Problem with this one, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a problem, but the first spot will be 31.35. If we have a tight enough setup, I think that could work. And then I think stretch target for today would take me to about 31.86. Let's see if they had any news. Oppenheimer initiates Pinterest at Outperform, so getting some upgrades in there too. They didn't wait till all-time highs to do an upgrade? Okay. Beautiful looking double bottom. This might be a good one for a swing as well, but even for a day trade, that would be pretty decent. Let me see. Finviz. I forget what their short float was. Short float's only 3%, so it's not huge. Not bad though. I'm gonna watch that one. Probably one of my favorites, except for the amount of movement that it makes. But otherwise, everything else looks good in a bullish direction. TXN, so Texas Instruments. This one's just chilling. You did have a pretty good volume candle, and then followed by an this one. I think we higher than it. Yep. So we're fully out of that one. Look for get a small pullback 204.84. And then I think you will be faced with this resistance 207.68. So I think you could probably get a 1.2 on it, especially if this one opens and does want to pull back a little bit. But I do like this high volume candle that we're kind of breaking out of. I don't know what that resistance is going to do. If we could break through that resistance, I think next target would take us up to 210.55. That one's already been hit too. So then probably extended targets, which I don't think happens today, but if you're in this one, you're looking for an actual target to get out. 212.91 would be a good spot to do so. And then for today, I would have to consider this 207.68 zone, something in there. Not bad. TSM on a gap fill. Maybe. I think eventually. I think this one ends up retesting. It could go a little bit higher. And maybe we already hit that pre-market, but 180.32 I think is going to be a diesel resistance for And I think this one acts as a little bit like a retest because here's your breakout candle. Then you just had two inside days. So anybody that took this candle is profitable today. I think this one does come down. Look for like a 176.64 entry and or target if you're gonna go short on it. I'd be curious to see how most of the Chinese stocks holds up. In fact, actually, let's take a look at Baba. I'm curious how any of these Chinese names are holding up because don't forget down here, and I tried to convince as many people as I could. I was like, hey, I don't think Baba's that bad. I think we have some good potential entries down here, down here, down here. I think we could build a little position on it. And the pushback that I got, like, no, no, they're going to invade Taiwan, and they still might. Who knows? But here's my question: what happened? Did we didn't? We're not going to invade Taiwan anymore? Is that off the table, or are we just going to forget about that for another 5 years and then we'll bring that story right back? I don't know. Other than that, really good gap. I feel like anybody that was getting in at these zones, they might want to because this thing does gap frequently. You do have some risk from China invading Taiwan that is still there. I don't think the media is going to talk about it because it's gapping up as opposed to going down. And then you have China finally coming out trying to do some stimulus that's going to help push stocks up too. So I would think that this one probably fades, and then if all the other stocks, Chinese stocks, end up kind of pulling back a little bit too, and then tomorrow they go. Target on this one maybe takes you like 97.55. It's not a bad gap. It's really not. It's a big one though. I just can't imagine in the future this is not a gap that gets filled, whether it's today or over the next couple weeks. This is probably a fillable gap, and then we go. So we'll see. But TSM, I think the same thing. I think TSM, before we want to fill that gap, we probably pull back first. Intel, I did not look at. INTC. Mm, I guess we don't need this anymore. INTC, not really doing anything too crazy today. Friday was a big day for it. Friday was a big day. We're just living inside that candle. Otherwise, yesterday it was a little bit of a gap up. I think there's probably more people bullish on this thing than not at this point. Just with the AWS deal, it is low. They have a shot of recovery. They do have government contracts. I think a lot of people probably looking to target this $29 zone. That being said, we have resistance today at 22.55, so that's the VPOC from yesterday. Maybe we could get into that 100, which would be 23.23. We are definitely in the gap fill zone. There's nothing really holding us back, but probably another couple days of chop. This was a big move here. So if we could pull back, if I could catch a price around 21.48, I think that would be a decent try at a trade. Nvidia I did not look at. Let's take a look at Uber first though. UBER. Mm-mm. Uber not bad. It's gonna have a lot of resistance though coming in. I think that's just kind of your trend. It does look a little inverted head and shoulders. We got to get past at least 75.58. I don't think we're safe on that one yet. I know they get a lot of robo taxi news. Otherwise, decent gap up. I would see if we get a pullback. See if you could buy it off of 75.57. See if that would be a spot I would try on a swing trade purpose. 73.41 would probably be my stop. I would be concerned about probably 76.26. I think final target, or at least to get in this trade, I'd have to think that we could rock it to 77.20 today. Anything's possible. But yeah, I'd see if there's a pullback on that one first. You guys are saying Nvidia. Let's see what that is. I never heard of Nvidia. Let's check out this Nvidia. Is that how I say it? What are they make chips? Okay. Let's see. They're definitely building up for something. We haven't really moved in quite some time on Nvidia. Other than that, you got some risk to reward in a bullish direction though. Great retest, lower VPOC. Still inside day, so I know some of your plans don't, they tell you don't trade it. I think there's target up to this one to 118.79s, maybe a little lower, 118.69. So that's probably where my target would be. It is inside. Maybe we get a little pullback. I don't think I want a huge pullback, but 116.48 would be my first one. Second one will be 116.22. They're probably going to shake some people out first, I would imagine, before we just make that pop. Other than that, looks decent. We're still well inside this little pennant pattern. Corn or potato. Yeah, the salt and vinegar ones. This way it's a little salty, and then you can't get the vinegar out of your taste buds for 2 weeks. Just, DD. Dupont. Almost a gap to all-time highs. Man, my first instinct is to fade this one. But that means I'd have to go bearish on something. That's wild. That's a wild thought process. I would think a fade on this one. It looks pretty good though, bullish. But we do have some zones up here we could get rejected. We've gotten rejected there before. I'd almost want to look at it for a fade. I'm not gonna play it as a fade though at these levels. Maybe a fade in like 2019. That would have been a good one. 2024 terrifies me. If you are a little bit braver than me, you probably got down to like 84.08, something like that. We got Dell, DELL. Uh, Dell looks decent. Decent amount of room. First stop on this one, I think maybe we get held up at 119.01. Otherwise, I could see us getting back to 120 again. I think Dell's worth a try. I'm throwing that pretty high on the list. Again, maybe out of the gate, and I would actually appreciate it if it did it. Actually, I don't know if I would appreciate it. We'll see. But first support on this one, 117.96, so that would be a small pullback. Otherwise, pretty much right where we had that previous bullish entry is not a bad spot to have an entry. 117.57 stop. I think we could probably go bigger than 117.20, so something to that effect maybe. It's a decently tight setup. Probably go for a little more than a 1.2, but I kind of like that one. Frank says corn, potato, cat. I'm guessing you're talking about cat, like as in Caterpillar, and not the Springfield, Ohio delicacy. So, but it is kind of weird that you listed cat right after chips and potatoes. So, I don't know. But Caterpillar, the stock, is making a really nice gap. Uh, 396.66. Maybe there's a little pullback on this one. Otherwise, it kind of looks primed to just keep on running. That is a lot of buying into this thing, though. That's a big move from 325 all the way up to 374 with no pullbacks. I'd have to be concerned. As much as I'm like, man, that looks like a really good gap. We probably keep going. I think it's gonna go without me. It's my typical move is not to jump in after legitimately almost every single person is profitable in that one. I don't know. Visa. If we didn't have that run up and we had a pullback, that would have been a really good gap. That would have fit my plan perfectly. Visa. A little bit of gap down, doing something different than the market. You do have a little bit of support where we're opening at. So even though this is a gap and go, be careful on this one. I don't know if I would trust this one so much as a gap and go. We are obviously breaking down. We had a bullish run yesterday, but really yesterday, the day before, is inside of this Thursday candle. So I would think into this support, maybe we come down a tad more. I'm worried about targets if we're going bearish on this one. I think somewhere around 279.19 would be a decent spot and a really, really good spot, 277 to get long. So I'd be hugely concerned about targets on this one. I think this one almost acts as a little bit of a retest as opposed to not. So believe it or not, probably would act as a little fade for me or look to. We'll see what it wants to do. And get that higher on the list as well, somewhere up here. CVX, probably something similar to OXY. Really good gap on this one too. This is a retest gap. We had lots of volume coming in on this day, so if you did buy it on this day, you're profitable. You might have targets a little bit higher, 152.51. That would have been my first target. If not, probably targets to 153.94. I don't know if that would be my target though, because you got the 200 before. But that being said, yeah, I think we could probably get targets into 152.51. That would be my target for today. I think I'd want to see a pullback first though, just being that it is a retest gap, and I think that comes in at somewhere around 148.56 if I could get it. Otherwise, the actual retest from yesterday would be 146.92. Oil seems to do some overextended moves too, so maybe you can catch that 146 zone, 147, 147.01 even, something to that effect. But there's a lot of people that did jump in there. It appears bullish. They made some money yesterday. Some people took profits, and the rest could probably take it probably at open today. And then I think if you're trying to play it, I'd wait to see if this thing pulls back first. AMD. What do we got left? Couple seconds. AMD. Oh my goodness. I love the fact that we're above 157.23. I'm not loving the fact that we're not above 157.50. That's my next resistance. After that, I think it's good to go. It's definitely going higher on my list. Keep in mind, even Nvidia I'm pretty bullish on too. That's more inside trading. This one has been making some decent moves. You get good ranges on AMD. LVS. Beautiful looking gap. Targets on this one. You got the 200 right here. Otherwise, targets on this one probably could take you up to like 45.93 if you get through it. But that is some buying into this one. Probably look for a fade as well. See if we reject that 200. That's what I was saying that one. Otherwise, everybody on YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. We do have we'll do this again tomorrow. We're gonna do this again tomorrow. But you